You see, I enjoy the company of my own kind. I find humans, limited.
Oh, so in your arrogance, you kill them?
No, I kill them because... What's the difference? They all die anyway.
Welcome to the Highlander Rewatched podcast, the podcast where we rewatch each and every episode of Highlander the series and talk about it in detail.
So we're going to kick this one off with a quick question. What was your favorite sword fight up to this point in Highlander?
I think mine is probably the sword fight from The Road Not Taken. I think that one was pretty sweet. And so now, the man to the left of me, a friendly greeting from Jamaica.
Hey, man.
Everybody get it?
Oh, God. That is
Get the joke?
That is terrible.
It's not
get it.
terrible. That was great.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Eamon?
Go on.
A friendly greeting
Yeah.
from Jamaica.
I like the fight with Chief Bad Guy. I forget the episode in front of like the Seacouver Science
in front of the
Center.
Science World?
When the stunt double starts taking over. Like when the actual actor is doing it, he's like flinching and not really doing that good of a job. But I think when the stunt double takes over, it's pretty cool.
That is a good one. This is Kyle. I think my favorite has to be the fight with Grayson in Band of Brothers. That's a really solid fight. Moves around. You actually see Duncan get his ass kicked a little bit, which is kind of satisfying. Good all around. High quality stuff.
All right, so to start off this episode, we'll just do a little bit of reader mail. This is actually not related to Highlander, per se, but it relates to something we talk about all the time,
All the goddamn time.
which is No Holds Barred, which was directed by Thomas J. Wright, and as we know, he's directed a number of Highlander episodes, especially like the pilot, as I guess his most famous Highlander episode. So this comes from Dominic S., and he writes that, as a funny side note, the German title for the movie is, quote, Hulk Hogan, the Hammer. And no, Fred the Hammer Williamson isn't and wasn't that popular here. And I think that's pretty amazing, like, as an alternate title.
Yeah.
The Hammer.
Hulk Hogan, the Hammer.
No hammers barred.
Yep. So to jump into episode number 15, the title of this episode is For Tomorrow We Die. The air date was February 27th, 1993. It was directed by Robin Davis, who's a French director and writer. And it was written by Philip John Taylor. And he's done a ton of Zorro. And actually, one show I noticed this time was he did a show called Forever Night. And a couple people have mentioned this on our Facebook page as a really cool show to check out. It's also filmed in Vancouver, I think. And it's about like a vampire. Like it's very similar in theme to Highlander. It's about like a vampire cop. Yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to be pretty good. I haven't checked it out yet, but comes highly recommended from other Highlander fans.
He also worked on Silk Stockings.
This guest stars Roland Gift as Xavier St. Cloud. He's the lead singer of the Fine Young Cannibals, and their big hit is She Drives Me Crazy. No one else. Yeah, his voice is unique. It's a way to describe it.
And nothing at all like his speaking voice.
Nope, not at all.
And also, just side note, I think he does a great job in this episode.
He's fantastic.
I thought he was saying coo-coo. Like she drives me crazy, coo-coo.
Oh, is that it?
Shit.
I always thought it was ooh-ooh.
You just blew the lid off this
Yeah,
song.
you did. Honestly, that makes,
I don't know if I'm right. That's
that
just
makes
how I always heard
so
it.
much more sense, though.
I can't help myself.
Roland Gift is actually really good in this episode.
Yeah.
And his speaking voice is nothing like his like very strange singing voice.
Yeah, and he really nails it.
Yeah, he's great. And he actually becomes, spoiler alert, like a kind of a semi-series regular. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't say maybe regular is too strong of a word, but he pops up a couple more times, which is really cool.
Yeah, because almost none of these villains ever come back. So, this is a good get for the series.
Yeah, totally. And so the IMDb episode description is Duncan tries to stop an immortal from his past named Xavier, who robs mortals and kills them with Nerf gas. Right to the point.
Yep.
Reading these episode descriptions, like, I think this is a very good episode, and I was like very invested in it as I was watching it. But just reading like a 2-sentence description of any of these things is really funny.
Yeah.
It's like if you ever read a description of like a arc of comic books,
Right.
like even ones that I've really enjoyed, if I
Yeah.
go back and read a synopsis of them, I'm like,
So the cold open of this episode is at a jewelry store. And rolling gift as Xavier St. Cloud enters, and he's kind of like sweet talking the woman there out of like the what are they called?
jewels? Are you talking about jewelry?
No, the woman. What's her name? Clark or something?
Yeah,
Oh,
Clint.
good.
That's good. Employee.
Yes. So he comes in. He's sweet talking the clerk there. He wants to go out to dinner with her or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it turns out it's all like a trick, and he drops like a canister of like nerve gas or something.
Of Joker gas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smilex.
Everyone just starts passing out, all these people, including the fine young cannibal himself. But he's clearly immortal because, unlike everyone else, his eyes pop back open and he gets up.
Is it not his eye that opens? When the eye opens,
Like
I
an eye
swear,
double?
I swear it's not his eye.
Really? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but
Eye double.
So then he like gets up and lets his lackey in, who's wearing like a gas mask, and all this dialogue is ADR'd,
Yep.
and it's
Awful.
amazing.
yep.
It's amazing. We got a little taste of it.
Yeah, here's one clip.
So he like goes and empties the safe upstairs,
Right.
and then we get treated.
He
to
brings
this.
down a thing full of jewels, like a briefcase. Look, we're rich.
And like he had so many. Also, he kind of sounds like Roger Rabbit when he says that.
Yeah.
But his dialogue the entire time is amazing. Like when he comes in, what happened? They look dead.
So Xavier assures his goon that everything's fine now. These people are not dead. They're just passed out. You can take your mask off. It's safe. Bum, bum, bum. He takes his mask off and he dies too.
Yep.
Although I was kind of wondering, why doesn't Xavier die again?
Yeah.
Why does he?
It doesn't make sense.
He's still being killed. Like he's being perpetually
Yeah,
killed.
shouldn't he just
by the
die
gas.
over and over again until the gas like really does dissipate?
Did
Yeah.
he like bring up an immunity to it? That doesn't make sense.
But then he wouldn't have passed out the first time.
Right.
Unless that's a thing. Like you can't get killed by the same nerve gas twice.
Or maybe
That
it's
doesn't
like
make sense.
like in video games, like when you get hit and you flash, so you can't get hit again.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like a 5-second invincibility power.
Yeah. With your own nerve gas that you used. So what was the point of this goon?
Ooh, that's an excellent question.
Why was this goon here? Why did he need this guy?
I guess just to do it quicker, like because he doesn't care. Like the police are gonna show up. I don't know.
Well, does he crack the safe?
Yeah.
He says go up to the safe and get it. But like they don't establish
Oh.
that this guy's any special skills. And certainly from hearing him talk, I'd assume he has
Yeah.
exactly zero skills.
Well, he's like,
Right.
it's established that he's a known criminal later in the episode, the lackey.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a safe cracker.
That's the only thing that makes sense. Because
That-
Yeah.
otherwise he just invites him in there to murder him.
Yep. Maybe he just didn't like him.
Take the mask off. I lied. You're dead.
So then we cut to the church, and Darius is in a confessional booth with a young woman, and they have a funny exchange. I think she's talking about that, like Darius is like, it's not a sin for your mother to take your old boyfriend. He's like, bad taste, but not a sin. I thought it was just a little funny little bit. But then Xavier walks in to the confessional. They obviously, I guess, have had a past together.
Which, do they ever really explain that?
No, I guess Darius just at least knows of Xavier, and so Xavier.
Oh, Darius goes into it later. He's
does he?
talking about a flashback. He like ran into him. They were gonna like guillotine him or something like
That's
that.
right.
That's right. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was like a petty thief at the time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Darius
And he
saves
sought
him.
sanctuary, yeah,
Yeah.
with Darius.
Xavier confesses to this multiple homicide he has just committed.
Yep. And he says he's gonna do more.
Darius says, like, why are you confessing? Like, this doesn't mean anything to you. But he comes like, it's like, because it means everything to you. And like, I don't quite get why all this animosity. I guess that's why I was still kind of confused about what their connection was. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, Xavier's really doing this just to fuck with Darius, but you never get the impression that Darius did anything bad to him.
Yeah.
I guess it's just to set up how evil Xavier is. I do kind of like the setup, like that he just kills people and then just like strolls into a church and just tells people about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a badass setup for a character.
Yeah.
Detective Q-Ball makes his way back into the series somehow, and he's fine. Like,
Yep.
all that shit he gave Duncan about how I'll never be chief because my arm is like a worthless husk and you ruined my life. And he's just back and fine and waving that arm around like it's nothing. So I don't know what that's about, what the heck that is, but
It's very weird.
apparently everything's A-okay now.
Also, like a CSI type dude comes over to LeBron to tell him about like the nerve gas use. And this guy speaks in a full American accent. Like this guy's also 80 yard, but with no attempt at a French accent. And it's like very strange.
And also what he says is very strange. He like recites all these things about how quickly the gas must have filled the room and like knows all this information that I have no idea how he'd have. And it goes, but I'll do some research and find out more.
We cut to Duncan arriving at Darius' church for a friendly game of chess. Darius seems a little sullen. Duncan asks, "What's wrong?" And Darius says, "Sometimes being a Catholic priest is easier than other times." Which I thought was very funny. Specifically a Catholic priest?
Well, I think it has to do with the confessional rules.
Sure.
He's, you know.
Yeah.
I like that they play chess together. That's like a running theme through the series. Is that him and Darius always played chess. I think that's kind of neat. I also think it's neat because Darius used to be a general, so it's like this kind of remnant of his like past like strategic life, which is kind of neat.
Though this is a little strange. Are they sitting like perpendicular to the chessboard? Like they're not like it looks like they are playing like left to right as opposed to like facing each other and moving the pieces at each other.
I did not notice that.
I was looking at it. It just looks very strange.
Oh.
So LeBron comes in and he's
A whiny bitch.
of course, yeah, so he wants to know what happened. He there's a report that Xavier came into the church or came near the church. And of course, Darius can't say anything about it, and he's really distraught over it. But then we get this crazy cool flashback. This is I don't know if I'd like it more than the Waterloo one, but it's really a great. I don't know. The setting is really great. They flash back to like a World War I battle.
Yeah.
Duncan's like an ambulance driver or something
Yeah,
to that effect.
it's
Which
got
is a very Hemingway kind of thing to have happen.
Yeah.
The hue on the film is really cool. It's like very blue saturated, and then they get attacked by mustard gas, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's like this minesweeper mine
Yeah.
lands, and then this Joker poison comes out, and Duncan's friend Stan bites the bullet.
Yeah.
And Duncan goes, Stan!
But it turns out Xavier was the one who, of course, gassed the camp, and he comes in to steal supplies, I guess it looks like.
It's
Yeah.
the payroll for all the soldiers
Oh,
is
okay.
coming.
Ah, right.
And he's
It's
actually
payday.
Yeah, and he's actually dressed as one of the Allied soldiers. I guess he's supposed to be fighting with the French,
Presumably.
presumably.
Yeah.
Or no one.
I don't really know. It's strange. His helmet is odd because it kind of
Yeah.
looks like the American like doughboy kind of helmet, but it seemed like he was talking to Stan was a Frenchman. Last time they were having the sideburns contest, now they're having the stash contest. Stan wins.
So that's our first introduction to Xavier St. Cloud. And the only reason he doesn't take McLeod's head is because, I guess, reinforcements show up.
Right.
Right.
Scare him off. So then we cut to the barge back in present day. And Richie is recounting Tess with his new girlfriend. Also, meanwhile, Tess is working with
Yeah.
this piece of clay.
She's just gooping it up. She's just moving it
She has
around.
what looks like maybe 35 pounds
Yeah.
of clay I don't even think it's on a wheel. And it's just like lumped all together. And she's just rubbing her hands on it, just like wet it. Like, it's like, that's not how you like put pieces of clay back together. Like, you've got to put it like through a press thing. And it's a whole process. But this is it. This looks like some monster out of like Dune or something.
My
She's,
note
like,
just says, cut to Tess making an octopus.
That's how she's making a mess. Like,
Yeah, she's also like up to her arms in like mud.
Yeah. This is everything. This is the opposite of everything that you know about clay from the movie Ghost. Like,
yeah.
like this, it could not get more unsexy.
Speaking of which, Richie. He's met a lady.
Yeah, he's met a lady, but we don't get her name. But he's like head over heels in love with her. So that's like our tidbit into like the B storyline with Richie.
And then Tess gets a phone call from Ahmed.
Right.
She's trying to organize this traveling art show.
This is a whole
Right.
new art show, not her form and what was it? called?
Sculpture.
Sculpture
and form.
I thought it was all part and parcel.
I don't think so. I think this is all like African art. and it's for refugees. It's
It
a
could
benefit.
be theme and variation. I don't know.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
so
the
broad.
only topic is sculpture and form.
Yeah, there are sculptures there, and they're in some sort of form. So there you go.
Got 2 points down.
There. But while she's on the phone with Ahmed, Xavier just walks into the barge.
He just busts up in the house.
Yeah.
And he says his name is Gerard Fleureau.
Oui, oui. And he says that he can help her with something.
That he's got some rare art pieces from like Ghana
Right.
that
Right.
he'd be able to provide.
And I guess she's been looking for something like this for the show. The show is like the next day, too. So it's
Yeah.
like...
Short notice.
Yep. So she's really happy about this. Duncan eventually comes home. Xavier's gone. She tells him all about it. He's there to pick up a speedboat. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm here to get the speedboat. And so then it's just like there's a montage of Paris, like of Duncan on the boat, I guess. Like it's just more padding, and he just like drives around. But it turns out he goes to like what looks like an abandoned fort.
Yeah, it is what it looks like. It's kind of a cool setting, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And he's there looking for Mr. Deleu. And of course, 2 goons are there, and they approach him, and they have to have like a karate.
Yeah, they have a karate
Duncan
match.
goes straight for a ball kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does some serious testicular damage.
So eventually, Mr. Deleu shows up, and it turns out, I guess, that Mac and him had a past together. Duncan is pretending, I guess, to be
His own son.
his own son.
Yeah.
But yeah, they make a comment that they fought in the Resistance together.
Right.
And just a little bit of like trivia here. This guy actually comes back in a later episode.
Oh, that's cool.
In like a season or 2, which is really cool. And they actually revisit this period when they say they fought in the French Resistance together. And so we actually get to see that later, which I think is a really cool way to tie in like some of these other characters.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Because in any other episode of this show, like Mr. Deleu would just be some throwaway like extra thing they just had in there just to give you some, extra plot info or something. But in this case, they actually use them to their advantage, which is cool. This guy seems dubbed too. I think like half the French people in this are dubbed. This guy's like a criminal boss.
Yeah, he's like a mobster.
Yeah, and I guess so. He's got the in on everything that's going on in Paris. That's why Duncan went to visit him.
Yeah, and he knows the kid who Xavier tricked into taking off his gas mask.
Right. But
We're rich. We're Richie Ryan.
as much as I like seeing Mr. Deleu and thinking like the setting's cool, like this whole scene is kind of pointless because the one cop, like the CSI cop or whatever, they're like, this guy's a known criminal. Like they have already ID'd that guy. So
Right.
like this guy gives us no more info other than I guess telling Duncan the guy's name.
But Duncan never has that info.
But how does Duncan use that info? Does he?
Duncan
Well, he
uses...
throws the funeral so that the mom comes and the mom gives Duncan the dirt on where to find Xavier.
So all he needed was the guy's name to throw him a funeral? Like, it seems more complicated than that. Like,
A little bit.
how do you throw someone a funeral based just on hearing their name? Like, he must have had to contact the mother, like, prior to that. Like,
Well, after
because
getting the
he
name.
like, foots the bill, I guess, on this funeral.
Right.
Right, with a little help from Darius.
Yeah. I don't I find it a little, like, crazy how all these things kind of come together. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like they didn't need that like, maybe this guy... Because it ultimately gets him to a coffee shop.
Right.
It's that, like, this is where they met. If, like, maybe Deleu could have known that information.
Exactly.
And that would have been...
Yeah, there's like some extra steps here that don't
Yeah.
need to be taken. But in the meantime, Richie brings his new lady friend back to the barge, and her name is Renee. And it turns out she knows Tess.
Ooh.
And the big reveal is she's married. So Richie, unbeknownst to him, is having an affair.
Yeah, with this older French woman.
Although actually, we do find out that she did tell Richie she was married, but in Richie's naivete, he's like, I just thought she meant she used to be married. Which I thought was pretty great.
Yeah.
Also, in expressing her frustrations over this adultery to Duncan, Tessa says that Renee is having a fling with a young and virile lover in referring to Richie fucking Ryan.
Which, their relationship is always, like, a little too close. Like, it's a little bit creepy. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's, like, kind of like mother-son.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, he's, like, always a little too fresh with her.
Yeah.
And then hearing her say virile young lover, it's like, gross.
Yeah.
Stop it. Quit it.
You think Richie's virile, Tess? So yeah, then we find out Duncan has paid for Francois' funeral. He talks to Francois' mom, who, as we said, gives Duncan that clue.
Yeah. There's a really funny music cue here, like transitioning from the adultery conversation into the church. Is it like the fugue in D? Is that the...
I think so.
Oh, like yeah.
Yes, yes.
Like that is going on. Like he's like, she's married. And then we like cut into the church. I kind of laughed out loud at that actually.
Duncan ends up scoping out this cafe for Xavier, and Xavier shows up, or Xavier's there, and he gets the buzz. And I actually thought this was really cool. Xavier, did anyone notice the buzz Xavier has?
Yeah.
Is like different.
Yeah.
Like this is the first, like it was kind of like the normal immortal buzz, but it had like cranking sounds.
Yeah,
it was like
it was cool.
It was really cool, and I was like, oh, this is like, I thought that was great, and I don't know if that ever happens again in the series. I want to say no, but I thought it was neat that they each had like their own sound, and at least like that it gave a really cool quality to like the villain has like this like it's like almost like hard to listen to. It's like all these gears churning and cranking, and it was neat.
Cool.
He has his own immortal Spidey sense.
Yeah,
That's right.
so they have a big chase through the cafe, and it's like there's a bunch of like gags and stuff in it.
Yeah,
Like,
they
Three
like run
Stooge-esque
through a
gags.
kitchen and they go through a window and they're like
They like
knocking
knock
people
over a chef. He spills everybody keeps falling over. He's like, oh, these damn tourists.
Yeah. Oh, my groceries. Oh, another guy. My groceries again.
But as Duncan's chasing Xavier through the streets, like Xavier's like doing whatever he can to get away. He's breaking stuff. He's pushing people over. Every person Xavier pushes, when Duncan runs by, he also pushes that person down like harder. Like
And stay down.
yeah. Like he chucks people out of the way who he doesn't. They're already out of the way. Like,
Also, did anyone notice during this chase scene? I don't know what to call these doors. They're like the giant kind of gate kind of door that almost has a door in the middle.
yeah,
of
like
them.
a little door.
right, right.
Yeah.
A door within a door. At one point, Duncan just jumps up into it, and the door kind of doesn't move. And then the little door opens like, from the force of his body, and he has to like hop through it. It's amazing.
Well, that cafe that's the mime cafe. I'm pretty sure it's the same cafe.
Yeah,
as in our
probably.
last episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Was anyone waiting for a cartoon banana peel sound? I was waiting for someone to go, whoop, woo! Or like that sound when a cartoon character jumps in the air and like stalls as they're running in place. Like I was waiting for
Weird
that
like
sound.
bongos.
Yeah.
So Xavier ends up making the escape because he pulls out another gas grenade.
Yep.
And Duncan has to dispose of this grenade before it like kills a bunch of people.
Longest fuse for a grenade
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, Duncan has to like climb a ladder. Like first he runs to pick it up, he climbs a ladder, he throws it in a cement mixer.
Yeah.
We've approximately 2 minutes before this.
So Xavier
It's
makes the
Bomb's
escape, and Tess and Duncan are back at the barge at this point, and they're having a conversation about Darius because Tess thinks he should just tell the police.
Yeah.
And so Duncan says some interesting things here. He's like, it's out of respect for mankind's rules, and he also says he doesn't think Darius believes in religion. He wants to be his brother's keeper.
They say Darius has been a Buddhist and a Hindu, amongst other things.
Yeah.
So he's been in all these religions, but he doesn't believe in the rules of these religions.
Or he does believe in the rules, but he doesn't believe
believes in the rules,
maybe in
but he
the
doesn't-
tenets of them. I don't know.
I mean, bottom line, Darius is an asshole because he doesn't actually hold these Catholic beliefs. So why protect a murderer?
Because there are rules.
But are you saying, is it a weird thing that he's even a Catholic priest? Like, that's a ruse on the people that, like, trust and follow him and put faith in him?
I just, it doesn't make sense to me. I feel like he's being a prick. Like, he should just tell these people about this murderer. I don't know. If he doesn't really believe the beliefs, why he's just following these rules?
I mean, people wear many hats. I'm sure this is a thing that probably I bet a lot of real Catholic priests go through this, where maybe they don't believe that, like, they should have to keep their mouth shut. But you don't keep your mouth shut for, like, this guy. Like, you keep it shut for, like, the general principle that when someone comes and confesses to you, it's, bottled up. That's why, like, even if he told someone, they wouldn't be able to use that, like, in court against this guy in pretty much any country that, like, has a modern legal system, because the idea is, like, you don't want people blabbing on this kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm supporting of this decision. Because also, like, would you ever confess to a priest who did this? Probably not. Like, he would just blow up, like, he could just never accept confessional again if this information wasn't actually privileged. Yeah. I guess I kind of respect it.
I'm okay with him respecting the rules. Although I think it's also interesting, like, he respects the rules of mankind. Like, so they do set up this thing, like, that immortals are still very different than people. Like, like even in Darius's world, who like doesn't shit on people all the time, like Xavier would, he still views himself as being different than them. Like, I'm going to follow their rules. Like, I'm not one of them, but I'll follow, like, what they want.
Yeah, which is, I mean...
Like, this draws a big line in the sand about, like, there's mortals, there's mortals. That's, like, two different worlds.
And even for good guys, the line is stark. Which is, I mean, it is interesting. I did wonder a lot about what this meant. Because also, he kills a Catholic priest when he becomes good, right? Darius?
Yes.
When he has this kind of light side quickening.
Right.
I guess he doesn't inherit his beliefs or anything like that. It's not like that's why he's a Catholic priest.
Right.
Sometime after that, he stopped being a Catholic. Like, if he ever started then, he was something else and then came back and was a Catholic priest.
Right.
So, in some way, he's at least selected this.
What do you think out there?
Let us know.
Yep.
So LeBron shows up again, basically threatens Mac again with lifelong imprisonment.
imprisonment.
No, he says, I will personally have your head.
Oh, and Duncan's like, get in the line.
Yeah.
That's funny. Then we're back at the church. Darius is all down on himself. Like, maybe he thinks he should, like, leave the sanctuary and face Xavier because he could stop him.
And he kind of helped create him by sparing him.
But Darius thinks that people will die because of his actions, and McLeod takes the stance of, no, it's Xavier's actions that are...
Right. And we can play this clip now. Xavier then just shows up.
Yeah, he comes and says hi.
Just to deliver some lines, some threatening lines. So let's listen to this clip, and this is what Xavier, I guess, thinks of people.
You see, I enjoy the company of my own kind. I find humans, limited.
Oh, so in your arrogance, you kill them.
No, I killed them because... What's the difference? They all die anyway.
It's kind of a cool exchange. My question is, what was he going to say when he stopped himself? Xavier says, no, I killed them because... And then he trails off and says, like, why does it matter?
That's a good,
Interesting
question.
Is the answer to that question because they're going to die anyway?
Or is it something else?
Or is he about to say... I think he was about to say something else, and he's just like, no, you guys don't deserve the answer.
So what do you think it could be?
I'm not sure. It's kind of interesting seeing the way this guy plays out, but he's got this, like, kind of cruel edge. Like, Darius is someone who actually affirmatively helped him, and it means something to him to shit on Darius's rules. Like, that matters to him. Like, he knows it's gonna torture, like, he knows Darius is gonna follow the rules, and he knows it's gonna eat him up that he has to do that, despite Xavier being kind of evil. I don't know, my thought was just killing is probably the ultimate societal taboo. Like, that is the worst you could possibly be.
And eating people.
Oh.
Sorry.
And to do it so young.
Does a fine job at it, I'll say that much.
But anyway, so is he just doing it because, like, it's not their... It's not mortals' world. Like, I don't have to play by their rules. Like, I can defile the things that people hold sacred just because I'm another species of thing. Any other theories? No?
I don't know. I don't know if I know enough to put together a theory, but I like that there is another reason that we don't get to see, which is pretty cool.
So after this, they finally tell Richie that the girl he's seeing is married.
Right.
Duncan, like, puts on, like, a constipated face and tells him. He's like, oh, Tess didn't tell you.
Well, he comes in, Richie's laying on the couch, and he goes, practicing to be a politician or something?
What does that mean?
I was like, huh? Like, I guess it's like politicians do nothing? Is that the joke?
I think that's the joke.
It's not a good joke.
It's not very funny.
Was that an ad-lib?
No, I think that was right.
Oh, also, at this point, I don't know, like, what is the point of this Richie subplot? Like, this is veering into, like, the car salesman thing.
Yeah.
And this one even pays off less than the car salesman plot in Revenge is Sweet. Because at least in that one, Richie, that, like, got him from point A to point B, even though it was really dumb. In this one, I don't get what it does. Like, it serves only as just, like, I guess a glimpse of, like, character development. Really. And just showing how, like, innocent he is and that sort of thing. But I wish it at least related to the episode a little bit more. Like, it didn't have to necessarily do with the plot, but thematically, if, I don't know, like if there was something, like maybe one of Mac's been a lifelong lover, so to speak. And it's like, maybe he's got some experience about women that he could talk to Richie about and they can have a moment or something. I don't know. It doesn't connect to anything. It's just there.
I interpreted this again as like, if the theme of this is like playing with like rules and conventions and the way they kind of like confine people or liberate them. I think that's kind of what's going on here. Like, there are rules about how you're supposed to behave with married people. And Richie is given a decision point. He wants to see this person. That is what he wants. But there's this kind of convention. He can't do it. He's not supposed to do it. And he has to make that decision. And actually, at the end of this conversation, it almost sounds like he's down for doing this. Like, for kind of cheating with this woman and, like, potentially hurting this guy.
Well, I think at the end of the conversation, he's like, well, her husband's going to be real broken up when she breaks up with him. Like, I think he's so naive that he thinks that this really means something to her. I think that's the point. Like, I don't think he wants to hurt this guy, but I think he just knows that, like, oh, it's too bad it's over for him.
Well, it's not like he has some revelation in between where he realizes that she means nothing to him. He doesn't realize that until he confronts her and realizes that she's A-okay with letting him go.
Yeah.
Like, he thought that he was gonna be upsetting her when he broke up with her. So I actually do think his decision to break up with her is a decision, like, I don't want to participate in, like, kind of hurting this guy. Like, this is not a thing that's allowed to work. I don't know. That's how I interpreted it.
So, now the episode starts to come to a head. We're at the museum, and it turns out Xavier has dropped off the sculpture, and he's planted a bomb inside it.
That's right.
Yep.
In the stand or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And Renee shows up, Richie's lady friend, with her husband. And so Richie's super cordial to them. But then he pulls her aside and he's got to break it off with Renee. And it's really funny. He's like, I've been thinking about this a lot, but we can't see each other anymore. And he plays it off like he's the one, like he's the real mature guy. I don't know. It's really funny. And she, like, kind of rolls her eyes at him. She doesn't really care. It's just like, okay, like, fine, whatever. It's a funny, cute scene, I think.
Then Duncan and Tess have a funny interaction inside the show where she says, "What do you think of the fertility goddess?" And Duncan responds, "It won't do me any good."
Yeah, that is funny. And they have another funny exchange, too, because she's like, have you ever seen so many diamonds in one place? And Duncan's like, once in King Solomon's mines.
What a dickhead.
So, Detective Cubone shows up, and he's like, downtown Mac now. Like, is just going to detain him based on
a witness seeing him throw that grenade in the cement mixer.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but he's not, like, under arrest. Like, he doesn't say, like, I'm obviously busy, you know where I live. Like,
Yeah, I'll come by in an hour.
yeah. So he's got to go with them now.
Yep.
Apparently.
So they're in the car, and LeBron says something about a thief that they apprehended. Is that right? Who dealt in West African sculpture, was it?
Yeah.
He, like, killed some West African drug dealer and stole all of his priceless artwork or something like that. Using gas. That's the connection.
So at this point, Mac puts the pieces together. He's like, hold on, that new donor, that must have been Xavier. Like, all the pieces come together. But instead of telling LeBron what's going on, he just says, I don't have time to explain. And he leaps out of
a
this
moving
car.
vehicle.
It's amazing.
Also, what police car has doors that open in the back? It's like, hey, I know I'm under arrest, but...
Also, they show the clock, and he has 10 seconds to run to the museum, get inside, find out where the sculpture is, find out where the bomb is, and disarm it.
But he doesn't.
And he does it.
He's got 1 second to spare.
Just in the nick of time.
Yep. So after Duncan defuses the bomb, we just cut to the barge.
Yep.
And it's like fight time. Like, there's no setup or anything.
And Xavier's like snooping around.
Well, Xavier's
like,
there. He's going to gas the barge.
Okay,
Is
right.
why he's there. And Duncan's like, nope, you're caught.
And the lighting in this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
it
Duncan's
really
in
well
his trench
shot.
coat. There's
Yeah.
like fog and light. Like, it's all shadows and stuff. It's really cool.
And they get to fighting. And, you know.
Xavier says, a man's got to live. And Duncan responds, not necessarily. I kind of liked that.
Yeah, that's good. And Roland Gift, he's pretty good. He's physical. He's getting in there with
it's a pretty good
Adrian
fight.
Paul. Yeah.
Oh, they introduced something very interesting and kind of problematic in this fight that I guess we don't really get to see play out in this episode, but it puts a big question mark on this. At some point, Xavier very kind of clumsily reaches in to pull out one of his like patented gas grenades, and Duncan just like Luke Skywalker's off his hand, like just.
It's amazing. When he cuts it off, the scream that Xavier has is fantastic.
It's like a blood-curdling
And then
scream.
he belly flops into the river.
Yep.
He goes, ah! And he just jumps in the river.
And Duncan dives in after him.
Yep.
With no sword.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't want
I
to
think he
get
drops
rusty.
it to the side.
Yeah.
Goes chasing after him. But yeah, so the odd thing that this brings up is, well, I mean, obviously immortals have like the healing power.
Right.
But what happens if they lose a limb?
I'm just surprised this doesn't come up all the time because they're goddamn sword fighters, and especially in the modern era, people don't walk around in armor.
Right.
So it's like people have got to be taking like brutal leg and hand shots all the time.
Yeah.
Also, you got people like Caleb Cole going around with a battle axe. Like he must be dismembering people left and right. So I don't really know how this exactly is going to play out as the show goes on.
Yeah.
I feel like if I had my druthers, it would grow back. I think that's the way I would think about it.
I think growing back is fine.
I guess
Or-
it's an odd thing. I think if I had my druthers, it would just be no one would lose limbs. Like
Or
it
it
would just
was
be one of those things.
impossible.
Just don't deal with it. Like
No, it just doesn't. I would just say it just can't happen.
oh
Like slashes his hand is useless for a while, but it won't come off. Like
Ever?
just won't. Yeah, I'd say ever.
well, they deal with this a
Wolverine,
little bit.
like adamantium bones, it's not going to break.
I want.
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it's been a long time. It's been a while since I've seen Highlander 3, but I want to say they deal with some of this in that movie in the most absurd ways possible. So I'm excited to talk about that movie when we get there. How they deal with like people getting chopped in half, maybe.
Oh, boy.
Yep. Though I think that's a special case in that. We'll save it.
Well,
We'll save it
save
for 3 years from now. I don't know. We'll wait and see, I guess. But like, I actually do think that Xavier comes back with a hook hand at some point. But
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that every immortal
Spoiler.
of any immortal of any note would be disfigured.
Oh,
Or
sure.
they'd
Yeah.
be missing like ears and noses and like.
Well, that's why I kind of just don't think they should even touch on. Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a fun, interesting thing to touch on, but at the same time, it brings up all these crazy questions, and it's like we can't have a TV show where everyone has like it's like severely
Scarred and
deformed
missing
stuff.
fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that's actually just like scarring in
Yeah.
general. Like, how many times have we seen Duncan get shot or stabbed on this show? Like,
A lot.
Not to mention he's got 400 years of those.
Yeah.
So like his entire body should be like a garbled mess. If,
Yeah.
like, scarring is a thing.
Right.
It's like his body should just look like the aggro crag, and it's just not there. So I'm okay with saying that no dismemberment in the Highlander universe, but you know what's done is done.
Yeah. Then the end of this is actually, I know in the past like couple episodes I've mentioned that I've been like unsatisfied with the ends of the episodes, like the tags. I actually kind of liked the end of this episode for maybe two reasons. One, that Xavier gets away. Duncan does not track him down.
Duncan comes back. He's like covered in water.
He looks
He's
like a dead fish.
he looks like a spanked ass. It's not good.
But yeah, there's like this. It's nice and like it's a little tense at the end. It's like, well, Duncan's safe this time, and it's like Xavier's still out there. It like I don't know. This episode did not end like a lot of the other ones do, where it's like, oh, everything's perfect, haha. Like everyone hugs.
Right.
It's like a lot of these episodes are very sitcom-y at the end. Like they're all like great, and like there's a little joke. This is very much like, I don't know what's going to happen next. And it's like, I don't know, it had a little uncertainty, which I think was more satisfying than the wrap-up, I think.
Yeah, and it also had a little more uncertainty about the connection between Richie and Tess, because their dialogue at the end of this is creepy. They're like kind of, I guess she's like trying to comfort him because he's all upset and he's sharing his woes about this girl who never loved him. And they're like right up on each other. And he's like, there are worse things in the world you can be than a sex object. And then he gives her a kiss on the cheek.
Well, there was that episode where Richie was walking Tess out to the car and he had his shirt off.
Right.
Remember
Yeah.
that?
It was, yeah.
This is
And
like
he
a
gives
secret.
he gives his famous
subplot.
shrub speech. Maybe that was a double entendre.
Yeah, that's
Gross.
right.
I'm already sorry I said that.
Jesus. Yeah, cool.
All right.
Behind the scenes stuff, the Watcher Chronicles, not too much stuff, but I guess we'll just mention Xavier St. Cloud's birthday. Happy birthday! He was born in 1160 in Morocco.
Oh,
and then I guess I just wanted to drop in a little tidbit about the title. So it's For Tomorrow We Die. And I like this title a lot. I'm not quite sure it belongs in this episode because I didn't think they dealt with the theme a lot. But it's from the Bible. And the full quote is, "If I fought wild beasts in Ephesus with no more than human hopes, what have I gained? If the dead are not raised, let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die."
What's the context of that?
People are talking about going into battle, I believe. And it's all about, like, you should make it count right now. Like, living your life now is important.
YOLO.
Yeah, YOLO.
Yeah, that was in the Book of Ecclesiastes, right?
But yeah, I think it's a good quote and a good sentiment. But I wish that was played out a little bit in the episode more. Like
that would
good.
That would have been a better title for Band of Brothers.
Yeah,
because this challenge is lingering out there that he doesn't think he can face. It's like about how he has to deal with it and like his hopes and dreams going forward. I feel like that would have been an okay title for that one.
Maybe they just throw these titles in like a box and just shake them up, and like all the plots and titles get mixed together. Because we've had this before where
see no evil. There we go.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Awesome. Make sure to write us. This is a really good episode, I think. Does anyone else have any thoughts on it before we wrap up?
I mean, this episode is a big winner. I really like it. I also love that they're continuing the musical kind of rock and roll aspect of this show.
Oh, yeah, we haven't...
with someone from the Fine Young Cannibals.
That's right.
Joining into this thing. Not that he's like the heaviest metal star, but like, you know, at least it's reinforcing that something about that ethos is a part of what makes this show. And I'm all about that. It's kind of awesome. It goes all the way back to the Kurgan and Queen. So we're also, once again, in this spot of like, how does the game work in terms of non-cutting weapons? Because we're always, questioning, why don't you just like walk up and shoot someone and cut their head off? That does appear. I mean, we've established here this works. Like, he was gonna ace Duncan, and that was okay. Like, Duncan got very lucky because Xavier would have had him without Duncan ever even seeing his face. Yeah, because he was wearing a gas mask. Yeah. So at least still in this point in the show, like that is 100% allowed. So I'm still just wondering why Duncan doesn't carry like an Uzi or something. Because
he fights with honor
and without a scabbard.
Yeah, with honor. Honor is his scabbard.
Yeah, there you go.
Honor
I like that.
Scabbard.
Honor is also his Uzi, apparently.
I like your thought earlier in another episode, Kyle. You mentioned that it should just be a rule that you have to fight with swords, and that's it. Like that eliminates all of this questioning, and it's like it's just as arbitrary as holy ground, but it doesn't matter. It's a rule, so we move on from it, and it doesn't muddle it up as much. So
you have to come, you have to issue a formal challenge, then you have to go and do it. You have to fight alone. Like, I'd be okay with that just being cosmically enforced.
Yeah. Very cool. Awesome. Well, if you have any thoughts on this episode, make sure to send us an email at highlanderrewatched@gmail.com, and we will read it on the air. Make sure to like us on Facebook. We're always posting pretty much every day stuff, behind-the-scenes stuff, episode clips, all sorts of tidbits and trivia. And you get to interact with other Highlander fans from around the world, which is really cool. You can follow us on Twitter at The Rewatchers and on Instagram at Highlander Rewatched. Oh, also, I haven't mentioned in a while, make sure to like us or rate us on iTunes. That really helps our, placement and get more listeners involved in the podcast. And also, if you're listening to this podcast and have a friend that you think might enjoy Highlander, have them listen to it or listen to it with them or watch episodes with them. And I don't know, we're trying to get as many people into Highlander as possible. And also, it's an exciting time for Highlander because it's coming up on the 30th anniversary of the original movie. So there's lots of cool Highlander stuff going on right now, with hopefully a new movie coming out soon. Fingers crossed. So anyway, we've been your Rewatchers. I'm Keith.
I'm Kyle.
Eamon.
And join us next week for the episode The Beast Below. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Like, Kyle, like you said earlier.
No, I didn't.
Sorry.
What the fuck happened?
just referencing what you said earlier.
I know. Well, we didn't have to go quite that far back, I don't think.
I know we didn't, but I was confused.